Now our top story, new details in a heartbreaking crime. A 15-year-old girl is dead, and police say her father confessed to killing her.
The last time Zaria begged not to go to her father's house, no one took it seriously. After all, she had spent weekends with him before. But this time was different. This time, she pleaded. She tried to find another place to stay. She did everything she could to avoid that visit. No one could have predicted what would happen next. Within 48 hours, tragedy struck. One so unthinkable that the county sheriff would later compare the scene to something out of a horror movie. A quick note before we begin. This story involves sensitive details that may be distressing, particularly for those affected by cases involving children. If you need to take a break at any point, please do. Before I continue, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, please subscribe and share this video so that Zaria's memory lives on, and so that tragedies like this can be prevented. Zaria was born on December 23, 2003, a Christmas gift to her mother, Akeisha Pope, and her father, Joshua Lee Burgess. Their birthdays were just 2 days apart, making the holiday season extra special. Akeisha and Joshua were young when they became parents, just teenagers themselves. Like many high school couples, their relationship didn't last, but Joshua remained involved in Zaria's life. She spent weekends at his house, and on social media, he presented himself as a proud father. He posted pictures, called her his mini-me, and talked about how much he loved her. From the outside, it seemed like they had a strong bond. By the time she was in high school, Zaria was thriving. She was on the dance team, played in the school orchestra, and was known for her bright personality. Her teachers and friends described her as full of energy, always ready to make people laugh. To most, she seemed like a happy, typical teenager. But behind the smiles, there were things she didn't always talk about. One of Zaria's closest friends later revealed that she had confided something troubling. She didn't like being at her father's house. She said he had a temper, that he would sometimes explode with anger for no reason. She also shared that she never felt fully accepted by his side of the family. As the child of a black mother and a white father, she often felt out of place. Some of her friends' parents even suspected that Joshua was using substances, though Zaria never confirmed it herself. It's unclear how much her mother, Akeisha, knew about these feelings. She was used to Zaria spending weekends with her father. It gave her time to participate in a church dance group. That weekend was no different. But Zaria didn't want to go. She begged her mother to let her stay home. She even asked a friend if she could sleep over, but her friend's family had weekend plans. And so, with no other choice, Zaria went to her father's house, despite every instinct telling her not to. To this day, that friend still carries the weight of that moment, wishing she had been able to help. Akeisha, on the other hand, saw it as normal teenage stubbornness. She thought Zaria was just trying to do something else that weekend. She had no idea it would be the last time she'd ever see her daughter. On August 18, 2019, at 9:24 a.m., Joshua Burgess walked into a police station. He approached an officer at the front desk, looked him in the eye, and calmly said he was there to turn himself in. What he was about to confess would send shockwaves through the entire community. The officer looked at him and said, "All right, let me check for any warrants." But Joshua interrupted him, shaking his head. "No, you won't find anything. I'm turning myself in. I just took someone's life." Detectives immediately brought him into an interrogation room, where he calmly gave a full confession. Without a trace of emotion, he stated his daughter's full name and told officers exactly where they would find her. When police arrived at the address, 100 Hampton Meadows Road in Union County, Monroe, North Carolina, they discovered a scene beyond comprehension. Neighbors later said they didn't even realize anyone lived there. They had assumed the house was abandoned. Inside, investigators found 15-year-old Zaria Burgess. The way Joshua had left her, the injuries she had suffered. It was something out of a nightmare. Her body showed clear signs of prolonged suffering, and the official cause of passing was a critical injury to the neck. As details emerged, it became clear that the horror had lasted for hours. Zaria had been restrained, harmed repeatedly, and subjected to unimaginable cruelty. Joshua had spent nearly an entire day tormenting his own child. Authorities charged him with multiple offenses, including first-degree murder, multiple counts of serious assault, kidnapping, and other charges related to his disturbing actions. Before I continue this heartbreaking story, I want to ask for your support. If you believe these stories need to be told, please leave a comment, subscribe, and share this video. Raising awareness can help protect others and keep the memory of victims like Zaria alive. In June 2022, after a 3-week trial, 35-year-old Zaria Burgess was sentenced to the most severe punishment under the law, along with an additional 76 years for other offenses. In North Carolina, a unanimous jury decision is required for such a sentence. Otherwise, the alternative is life imprisonment. Even though Joshua had confessed, a trial was necessary due to the nature of his crimes and the penalties involved. Strangely, despite turning himself in and giving a full statement, he still pleaded not guilty in court. His lawyer even attempted to prevent his recorded confession from being played for the jury, but the request was denied. During his confession, Joshua gave multiple explanations for his actions, but the common themes were control and obsession. Witnesses present in court later recalled how he spoke without remorse, admitting that everything had been premeditated. He had planned the entire weekend, from having breakfast with Zaria to carrying out the horrific acts he had imagined. Even more disturbing, Joshua allegedly told investigators that as Zaria got older, he didn't want her to have relationships with anyone else. His twisted sense of control led him to commit the ultimate betrayal. After everything, he claimed that his original plan was to provoke law enforcement into ending his life when he turned himself in. But instead of taking responsibility in that way, he calmly walked into the police station and admitted to everything, ensuring he would face the consequences of his own actions. The Union County Sheriff's Office described the case as one of the most disturbing and cold-blooded crimes they had ever encountered. This was a truly horrific act of cruelty against an innocent child, they stated. It has taken an emotional toll on everyone involved. We continue to grieve with Zaria's mother and keep her in our prayers. Following the shocking news of Zaria's murder, internet investigators began searching for possible reasons why a father, who, at least on the surface, seemed to love his daughter, could have done something so unthinkable. While law enforcement identified Joshua's primary motives as control and obsession, the state of North Carolina withheld many details about the case, leading to widespread speculation online. Some people analyzed Joshua's social media presence and pointed to disturbing patterns. He had shared racially charged memes about Barack and Michelle Obama and engaged with pages linked to extremist ideologies, including controversial political figures and even an occult group known as Flame of the Serpent. These details led to online theories suggesting that Zaria's murder could have been part of a ritual or linked to extremist beliefs. One of Joshua's most unsettling posts dated back to February 8, 2016. In the photo, he was holding a tabar knife with a long blade, with several other knives visible in the background. His caption read, "I just really love cutting people. Oh, I meant things. I love cutting things." The post, which seemed like a dark joke at the time, took on a chilling new meaning in hindsight. Despite all the speculation, there was no official evidence linking Joshua to any organized extremist group or previous crimes against Zaria. His past had no documented history of physical abuse toward her or her mother, and no reports of domestic violence had ever surfaced. While some suspected he struggled with substance use, no one could have imagined the darkness he was capable of. It raises the haunting question: was this side of him always there, hidden beneath the surface? Had he harbored these twisted thoughts for years, waiting for the right moment? Or did something inside him suddenly snap? Zaria's funeral was held on August 25, 2019, at the Christ Discipleship Bible Worship Center in Marshville, North Carolina. Her classmates and teachers were devastated by the loss, And in her honor, the Monroe High School Red Storm Orchestra dedicated their performance at the Battle of the Bands to her memory. For Zaria's family, no punishment could ever be enough for the man who took her life. There is no justification, no logical reason that could ever explain his actions. She was a bright, loving, and full-of-life girl whose future was stolen by the very person who should have protected her. This heartbreaking case serves as a devastating reminder of why we must always listen to the concerns of children and pay attention to warning signs, no matter how normal things may appear on the surface.